So this is the dining room, which is the kitchen is just to my right, and this dinette will fold down into a small bed if you want to do it. I believe it's about 6 feet long. It's bigger than it looks because the pillows come out, so you can go right underneath these seams. I find RV dinette tables are too small for the number of people. This is generally, we use this with my wife and I, and the 2 people is more than enough at this table. You have your 2 plates and maybe a few other things, and it's full. If you're going to have more people, we can sit 4 at this booth if you like each other, or 1 here because of some of the items I have here, 2 there, maybe 1 in a chair. But the challenge is that really there's only places for the plates. So you have to be very thoughtful ahead of time to set things up in the kitchen area perhaps before you sit down for your meal. Of course, in this modern world we usually travel with a computer, of course, even if just to manage your pictures and video and so on. And so what I did is I took a magazine rack we had in the house, and this one here, it's a fairly sturdy wooden one, and I have it sitting over here, and what I do is this stows the computer and the accessories while I'm driving. Sometimes I actually have 2 computers with me for one reason or another, and so they sit upright in computer envelopes very comfortably, and it works very well as we're driving. And because it fits the spot here, the table, you can slide it. This isn't going anywhere. In behind here I have installed cables. This is the VGA screen cable. This is the standard audio connection. So if we're going to show computer videos on the big screen at the front, which is what you probably want to do, it's not really very convenient to have the computer at the front of the RV, climbing over the seats and all the rest of it to connect the cables. So what I did was I ran these 2 cables underneath here and behind the Chesterfield, and then when we get to this campground, there's just a short connection between the slide and the a console I built just to the left of the driver's seat, and that gives connection to the television. And so then you simply make it an extended desktop, show your movie, and you've got a full screen video from the computer. And the sound, of course, goes through the radio, so you've got 4 speakers and you're hearing your movie full blast. So it's really quite nice. These drapes, these fan folds, everybody says they're terrible. We find that they actually work pretty well. They are, we had to restring the strings in here. That took a day, maybe 2 days, figuring it out, going into supplies and doing it. In the winter time, worked extremely well. They come off, not too difficult, and for the most part it works out pretty well. You get the odd time where they fold together, but again, like anything else, use it carefully. You don't have to ram and slam at it. Use the holders. I broke my own rule by pushing here, but I generally use both of these holders. Try to keep it steady and take care of the unit, because we're pretty fortunate to have it. So we have, of course, the chandelier here, which is very quaint, and then 2 the 4 or 5 reading lights. There's 2 here, 2 over the Chesterfield, 1 over the sofa on the other side. So it's very quite, very classy, first high-end kind of setup for the time of the technology that this unit was constructed. So I guess that's it for this one. The source of power for the computers and so forth, there is a plug at the bottom of the table on the floor from the slide, and so that's the power source, and I run a power bar up here. I'm going to modify this though. We're going to put a piece of wood there and turn the power bar so it's pointing upward, so the plugs come in like so instead of like so they're less intrusive into the area. Every space kind of has to have its purpose. With our storage, we kind of work things out in certain ways. Up here we have bread and cookies and the toaster and so on. This is a perfectly sealed compartment. If you get a mouse in the RV or anything like that, this area is going to be off limits, and things like that. We have to be careful. Over there, over above the sofa, we have most of what Nadine might take with her, her special things that way. Sometimes there's a bit of space left there, depending on what we do. Underneath the dinette here is tools and parts. These are the tools and parts I might use right away, like light bulbs inside the RV, a small tool kit, and things like this that we have to stare at, fairly soon, instead of going to the larger set of tools I have in the hold. While I mention that, I guess my perspective on tools, of course, depends on the length of the trip. If I'm going to remote areas or I'm going on a longer trip, I'm taking everything. If I'm going for a weekend, I may not bother. So it depends on what the plan is. Of course, with RVs, we always want to keep the weight down. I've traveled some distances with this unit being very light and getting almost 3.6 kilometers per liter, which is almost 11 Canadian miles per gallon, which is insane for a unit of this size. We're getting almost the same mileage with this unit as we got with the older RV, although this one's twice the mass. So the efficiency of this engine is amazing. So we just have to, that's just how you drive it. And how you stop and go will increase your gas mileage by 30 to 40%. And hills, that'll depend on the steepness of them and how many you have, because they can really kill it. They'll cut it in half or even more, depending on how you're trying to drive it. But if you're going to go down an interstate highway and you're going to drive 55 or 52 miles an hour versus 60 or 65, it's going to make about a 20 to 30% difference in the amount of fuel you use. And I think, in addition, when the vehicle's older, the wear and tear on it, the rattle, shakes, and roar, and just the pressures and temperatures that you're experiencing the engine and transmission to, I think it's just simply increasing the risk of breakdowns and premature failure. So you just have to remind that you're on holiday and you're not in a hurry to do anything. You drive responsibly, and you'll find that it lasts longer for you. Anyhow, thank you for listening.